This week on Not Sauce for Work, Terry Tam is co-hosting, Eagle is producing. The Super Bowl is come and gone, and we already miss football. We discuss the big game and the NBA. We also sit down with Ackie of the Alouettes and talk all things pigskin. We'll get into all this and much more on this episode of Not Sauce for Work on the Hot Sauce Sports Podcast Network. Welcome everyone. You were listening to, perhaps watching, Not Sauce for Work. I had a Super Bowl party at my place. It wasn't really a party. It was like really, my parents are still kind of freaked out about COVID, so we kept it small. We of course had too much food. The one person outside of my family that we saw was a good friend of mine whose kids are my godchildren, and we babysit them frequently, so my folks are comfortable having them over. But so she brought over, we asked her to bring soft drinks. She brought over something I forgot existed, and it's kind of one of my food guilty pleasures. I want to know, I'll tell you guys about mine. I'll give you guys a minute to think about yours. I do this all the time where instead of telling you in advance and letting you prepare, I just filibuster for 18 seconds and hope you can think of something. But that's what we'll do again. She brought over a 12-pack of spruce beer, which I forgot existed.
Yeah.
And it is fucking delicious.
Yeah, spruce beer is good, yeah.
I forgot. And it's one of those things where, like, I don't know if I'd ever tell people, like, go out of my way to be like, have you ever tried spruce beer? Because, like, by the time I have to finish explaining what it is, it's like 7-Up, except it tastes like trees. It's like 7-Up, Terry, except it tastes like trees. And it smells a bit like the filter.
I'm thinking of something else completely.
It smells like the fake tree you put in your car.
Oh, okay, like the new car smell?
The new car smell, yeah. It's a new car smell drink. It's delicious. I love it. It's probably horrendous to most people's opinion, but I think it's great. Do you guys have that? Do you guys have sort of these
like a guilty pleasure?
Things? Yeah.
Not a guilty pleasure, but like a weird palate.
Yeah, weird palate. You like it, most people don't.
That's a good point. I mean, I pretty much eat anything. Like, I'm not really picky with food. There's a few things that I don't eat, but like, I have like midnight snacks that are weird. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like I'll do like eggs, a cream cheese in a burrito with eggs, and mustard and avocados. Like that's like a midnight. That's like and it's just a bunch of flavors that shouldn't mix, but somehow it tastes good when you're stoned.
It does sound bizarre. So we're
the cream cheese part throws people off.
Well, yeah, cream cheese. I realize it's not everyone's cup of tea. It is a different sort of textural feel. That and the avocado, I gotta admit, it's a lot of richness all at once. We had so many Super Bowl leftovers this morning, Terry. My wife and I had hot dog omelet bagels before we went to work.
Hot for breakfast.
Yeah, it's in her Instagram story. If you check her Instagram story, you'll actually see them. It's pretty good. It was super heavy, and I felt like taking a nap immediately after waking up, which is a strange way to start your morning. Eagle, do you have any of these sort of weird taste combinations or weird things that you like that very few other people do?
Maybe I definitely have a friend. I'll get to that one later, but I think more on my side, I just remember as a kid wanting to drink the Orange Crush and the cream sodas, but the only way to get them was you had to buy the 24-pack, which came with the grape ones. And over time...
And it's not a twist.
Oh, I love grape. Grape.
I hated the grape ones, but it was like the necessary sacrifice to get the cream soda ones, which that was the only way to get them. And then after time, it like Stockholm syndromed itself into me starting to like the grape soda instead. So that kind of happened.
I Stockholm syndrome myself into pickles.
Yeah, I hate pickles too, but I hear you.
I used to hate them. I love them now.
When I lived alone, I would have these nights where I was single, but I didn't feel like going out. I didn't feel like going with any friends. Didn't feel like going to meet anybody. I said, you know what? I just want to stay home, play video games. So, you know, get a little under the influence. Get a case of 24 beers, and a big jar of pickles from Costco, and that was my night. Slam some pickles, slam some beers, play some video games, fall asleep in like a sweaty, salty mess at 3:00 in the morning on the couch.
Wait, you guys are Italian. Brio. I love Brio, but
No, I
people
love
love
Brio
Brio.
too. No, we like
I love
bitters.
Brio.
So I mean, I wouldn't call that a weird taste. It's
Yeah.
just if you like bitters, you like it.
My wife can't stand any of that though. My wife can't stand bitter. You know the Italian soft drink bitter or
Vita,
Brio. She can't drink that. I love those things.
Yeah, me too.
I'm also a fan of chicken gizzards.
Oh yeah, those are
it's
so
the
good. Like the
what's a
liver, the
gizzard?
heart, the kidneys, all that type of stuff.
yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Tripas, right?
No, tripe is something different.
The gizzard specifically, the gizzard specifically a muscle in the throat that crushes the rocks that they pick up off the ground as they're eating, and it is delicious with eggs or rice. But everyone that sees me eat it thinks I'm the
Yeah, I used to get
strangest
some weird
person
looks
ever.
at
My
Easter
girl-
too, because I would literally scrape the cheeks off of the lamb, like the head, which is
Oh,
the delicious
delicious,
part, and even
delicious.
like the tongue and everything. People are like, "You're fucking weird," but I was like, "No, man, like don't judge, knock it until you try it. It's so fucking good."
My girlfriend eats this thing. It's like macaroni, but with yogurt.
That's a weird way to describe your dick.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird, and she loves. Or is it milk or like it's something? I don't know. I just don't, but she loves it. Rice pudding is something I never really got into. The
Oh,
taste is
gross.
good. The texture is
Can't
the
do it. Yeah.
worst.
Same.
So
Same.
I mentioned my
I,
friend earlier. What he used to do as a snack coming home from school is he'd take like the Kraft Singles processed cheese slices, take off like 2 or 3 of them, put them on a plate, microwave it for about 30 to 45 seconds. But remember, they don't really melt, right? Because it's like plastic cheese.
No.
So all it did is stick
Yeah.
itself to the plate, nice and hot, and then he would scrape it off with his hand and like lick it off his fingers, and
gross.
chug that down with a nice bottle of Coke. And he'd do this every day after school, and I'm like, that's weird, man. I'm sorry, that's just fucking weird.
How is he dealing with the diabetes?
Not so good, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, he has to go see a psychiatrist once a week just to deal with his mental issues. But other than that, he's okay.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. That's all good stuff. We got a lot to get to. We have a great interview coming today with Montreal Alouette, Chris Ackie. He's an affable dude. He's really fun to talk to. We'll talk to him about some things that we saw in the Super Bowl. He'll talk about it in a much smarter way than we're about to. But in the meantime, you don't get smart. You get me and Terry talking about the news. Terry, it's the news. How's it going, buddy?
Going well. Doing
How's your-
well.
Has your butthole recovered from the Super Bowl?
So the thing is, I stayed at home for Super Bowl. I didn't do anything. I had too much
Okay.
work to do, so I just stayed at home. We ate, like I made like steaks and sweet potatoes. Like it was nice. We had a good
Oh,
time.
that's not bad. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah.
We ate far too much.
I was rooting
my-
hard for the Bengals, though. Hard for the Bengals.
I was too. Look, I don't know if you saw it all over Instagram on the Hot Sauce Sports Instagram. Follow us at Hot Sauce Sports. I was wearing orange. I had my orange Jordans on. I had an orange tie on. I was eating.
You wore a tie. You wore a
Bengals.
tie on Super Bowl Sunday.
Hey man, gotta do it. Gotta do it. In the evening, I gotta wear a collar. I'm being casual tonight, but otherwise, if it was a
Oh, we
dinner, I'd have to have a collar on.
You should definitely tell Chris that.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so we, I didn't want to. I wanted to pull for the Rams, but I lost the game last week with you, Terry, and so I had to support the Bengals. But we did it in solidarity. And the under cashed. So that was okay. The under cashing was all right. I had 21 units on my daily fantasy account. What I do with Super Bowl is whatever I have left or whatever I have won, I wager it all during the Super Bowl, and then I cash out at the end of the season, right?
There you go.
So
That's perfect. Yeah.
I'm hoping for a small payout. I entered 21 units, and I returned 21 units. It was a net gain and net loss of 0. It was so anticlimactic.
I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of not happy, but like I made a bunch of bets with Hot Streak because I still use it. Still a good product. And I did this. I did Joe Burrow under 276 and a half, Matthew Stafford over 281 and a half, Joe Mixon over 65 and a half, Cooper Kupp under 106 and a half, Jamar Chase over 78 and a half, and Odell Beckham over 60 and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
I won.
So
I won the whole thing.
60, yeah.
No, but listen, I won the whole thing, and then when I went to go check my balance, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I should have $200 over,
Yeah.
and it said I canceled it.
Oh.
So I messaged Gianni, and he's like, yeah, it says the user canceled it. I'm like, why would I? I've never canceled a bet in my life. Why would I cancel this one?
I wouldn't even know
And
how.
the worst part is that I even made the same bets, but like separately, to hedge. I won all of them. Like, why would I cancel this one?
I think there's only two possible people that could have hacked your account. One is Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
The other one is Davis Bertans. Davis Bertans.
Fuck. You know what? If anybody has a grudge with me, it's definitely my boy Davis Bertans.
Davis Bertans. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Definitely
how
my boy.
we butchered his name, but like that's his name now. It's Davis Bertans.
Yeah. What else would his name be?
Davis Bertans.
Davis Bertans.
Yeah.
But where's he from? Is he American? Like, what's
No,
his thing?
he's European. He's European.
European. There's like 76 countries in Europe.
I know, my guy. I'm starting to search. Try time for me, God damn it.
Well, this is Eagles' job while he's fucking playing Pokemon.
The problem is it interferes with Pokemon, you see.
Yeah,
He's
true, that's a good
Latvian.
point.
He's Latvian.
Bertans doesn't sound like a Latvian. I mean, you know what? He's not Latvian. They should be embarrassed to have him representing their country.
Jeez.
Like the guy went 0 across the board.
He actually
Who
is
does
Latvian, yeah. He was born in
Thank you.
Valmeria.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks.
Sounds great. Sounds fantastic.
Thanks for being super late.
I also probably mispronounced his town, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. We've been mispronouncing his name for over a year, and I've kind of known it, but I was like, you know what? I like the name Davis Bertans better because he sounds like just like a dude from like it's probably inner city Oakland or something. Just a weird ass name,
Yeah.
But
He sounds like he has his parents are from Latvia.
Yeah.
Population
Which we are.
25,000 in his little town. So
Well, now
I
we
was
know.
gonna say Latvia only has 25,000 people, and they have like national teams and stuff. Man, athletes per capita. Look at that.
So, the last week was a hard week because on top of the Super Bowl, because it was a week later, it coincided with the NBA trade deadline. So, the amount of work we had to do last week was kind of intense just to stay on top of everything. And then once the Super Bowl was over, my first reaction was like, I finally get my life back. Football's done. But I instantly missed it this year. It was a fun season, man. I had a good time. I really had a good time. I didn't realize how much I missed fans in the stadium the year before. I didn't realize how much fun I was having through the season. It being Brady's last season and seeing Joe Burrow's rise and that Josh Allen Mahomes game and the Super Bowl itself was a great game. It was truly, truly top to bottom an enjoyable season, and I absolutely already miss it, and it just happened. It's just been a couple of days.
I mean, I'm always like relieved when the season's over, but then when we have like a good Super Bowl, like we had, and it's like, man, when's the season going to start again? We have to wait a full 7 months for this. Like, this is going to be crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that the rejuvenation of the NFL is in the hands of Joe Burrow, and I think that's what people want more of. They want more of Joey B.
Well, what I find interesting is because of the way the contracts are right now in the NFL, like first round quarterbacks have like 4 years to sort of prove themselves, and they'll probably get another chance. But like it's 4 years to be like, can you lead a team? And so it gives teams these like short windows to go for it. And like LA is the great example of like they went for it with Goff, it didn't work. They're like, look, we're still going, we still have all these other pieces. Let's see what we can do. They go out to get Matt Stafford, and Terry, he makes this ridiculous throw. Eagle, bring it up. This is the play that won them the game, essentially. There's no audio, but
I remember watching the game and I'm like, fuck, man, he's too good. And my girlfriend's like, who's the quarterback? I'm like, no, the receiver. Because if you look at Cup, he breaks that route in like the perfect level, and then for him to catch it in stride like that, not expecting it, you know what I mean? Well, actually, he said after that he was expecting it, but like, it doesn't look like it's coming to him right at some point. So as a receiver, when you're running that way and your quarterback's looking behind you, you're like, what do I do? Like, I always should anticipate the no looker. But like in a game like that, for Matthew Stafford to pull that off,
I also like how he
impressive.
baits the mic to bite on the hook, right? Like right here, essentially, and that creates that hole that he needs just to try and get there in time. It's just so perfect.
he held him there for a couple seconds.
And that's the thing is like because the ball has to go exactly where the linebacker's standing, right? Like that's the primary read, and most guys would check it down. But like again, the thing is Stafford being in Detroit for so long, I don't think he's like necessarily the elite of the elite, but he's definitely better than a lot of people have given him credit for, and that's the kind of sort of IQ and intelligence above sort of just the physical talent that it's awesome to see him in an actual competent organization. And on the other side of that, and we'll talk a little bit about this, I'm sure, with Chris Ackie, him being a defensive player, but I know Eli Apple's name is Apple, and that's what it says on the back of his jersey. It probably should say toast as a food option because dude got burned all game.
Yeah, McCole Hardman.
Tweet out from McCole Hardman, who, by the way, is not that great, but he got on the fun, making fun of Eli Apple.
Love it.
Eagle, can you read the tweet? It's too small for me on my screen.
Hey, at Eli Apple, it's cool, big bro. You might get one of these one day with like big eyes, but in the meantime, just go get better at your craft piece.
That's just a supportive message. I mean, that's
he's trying.
Like, McCole Hardman is a class act guy for that message.
Yeah, he told him, listen, you're trying really hard. It's not enough because you don't have a ring. Exactly. I have one. I know what it's like. So if you want one, just spend some more time, get some work in.
I mean, humble brag, but also I think it was just more positive and supportive and. Than anything. I mean, I think McCole Hardman should be nominated for Walter Payton of the Year next year, just for that tweet alone.
Men lifting up other men.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't
go wrong.
And Michael Thomas tweeted something to the effect of Eli Apple going to Eli Apple, and like here's the thing: he covered Cooper Kupp 88% of the time, and Cooper Kupp had 12 targets and 12 catches, and like they ended up having to do this. I have a feeling if Odell Beckham doesn't go down, the Bengals weirdly don't have a plan for what they can do for two receivers, which seems strange, but I thought the game was over in the first quarter. And then, Odell goes down, touches ACL. Awful, by the way. But just, the offense had the life sucked out of it until that very last drive. That's the next touchdown they score after getting off to this hot start in the game. You know what I mean? So it's really strange how that all worked out.
So when the Bengals took the lead, so I had everywhere Bengals. I had Bengals.
You both did, Terry, because I lost that goddamn game.
I had Bengals plus 10.5 all the way to plus 1.5. All the way.
Okay.
I had a unit on every single one. I also had I had the under. I also had my prediction was 17-15. Also, kudos to Matt McKenzie. Blogger predicted the score 23-20. Good for him.
Text I got this week on behalf of Matt McKenzie. I'm
That's
like,
amazing.
Yo, who's your bro? Why isn't he not on your football coverage? I'm like, it's not even his main thing.
Yeah, I don't think he's not even a big football guy.
No, he likes it. He's a passive fan, but
Yeah. But overall, so as I'm watching the game, I see it happening. The Bengals they're doing it. They're playing well, and then it kind of slowed down for them. Like I think the halftime ruined them, right? And so they come back out, and they're not moving as much, and then Cooper Kupp just starts getting warm. It starts getting warm, and then you realize that like they're just not good enough. If they had just maybe one or two more pieces, that game would have been completely different. But honestly, it's what was sad to see at the end of it was Joey Burrow leaving the arena in his suit. Did you see that suit that he was wearing? Yeah. It was like shiny silver. I was like, you got to bring two sets of clothes. Yeah. You got to I mean, but the winner mentality in him is telling him, no, I'm bringing my winning suit. Fuck the losing suit.
But you know what? So then let's respect that. I think from now on, show respect to the guy who brings just the winning suit because that means he's got faith. And there's been like people on the internet hounding Joe Burrow for partying. What do you want him to do? You know what I mean? Like the game's over. He's literally on vacation. From that point on. Literally. He can't go back in time.
He has 2 months until he doesn't have to do anything anymore, right? So, while he doesn't have to do anything, and like when the Maple Leafs got eliminated by the Montreal Canadiens last year, when they got eliminated from them last year, the next day Mitch Marner was playing golf and people were ripping on him. Like, first of all, that's what the hockey players do; they just play golf. Like, you probably played golf the day before, also. So, like, you can't criticize the guy for just wanting to like disconnect and not think about the fucking suicidal thoughts he has because his team was up 3-0 against the worst team in the NHL and they ended up losing. You know what I mean? So,
like, it's so weird because the second you and I don't have work to do, what's the first thing we do? We go play golf. Most of the people complaining about Marner, the second their vacation starts, that's what they're doing. Why would it be different?
Piece
It's
of
a job.
shit. It's like the biggest double standard I've ever seen in my life, man. It's like, oh yeah, you play golf like one day after. Like, what do you want him to do? Like, wallow in his own pity? Do you want him to go and try and play for the Montreal Canadiens? Like, what do you want the kid to do? He's a 25-year-old kid that plays golf. He's a hockey player. He doesn't have to play hockey for another 6 months. Like, what do you want the kid to do? Like, what? Tell me what, and he'll do it. Tell me.
The how old did the halftime show have you feeling?
Not at all, but I love the memes though. But it didn't make me feel old at all because I always feel like the one thing it did, it made me feel included. Because
but that's
our generation is never included in this. It's always way too old or way too young.
You're looking at it the wrong way. It's that we've aged into the Super Bowl.
Into the old. Yeah.
So like I remember like Paul McCartney played the Super Bowl one year, and I was like I love Paul McCartney. He's great. He's a great songwriter. But like, how is this attracting younger people? And then I realized, it's because they're selling trucks that young people can't afford during the Super Bowl. And like, in a Super Bowl that featured sort of seven different electric cars having their commercials on them. Like, that's why. It's because 22-year-olds don't have money. Our generation's the generation that now
we're the guys. We're the target people. Market. We've become the target market. Finally,
I was gonna say, remember the year Maroon 5 was performing, and we're like, they're targeting middle-aged white women.
We are now the middle-aged white women,
and bi-curious middle-aged men.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you this: if I was bi-curious, Adam Levine would be on the top of that list with all those tattoos.
Yeah, he would be. So who do you think had a worse view of the halftime show? Was it people on the backside of the houses that were set up, or Kanye in his mask?
This is my issue with the whole Kanye thing, and it's definitely Kanye. My issue with the whole Kanye thing is he was with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, like, he bought a booth for $2 million, and he said he's doing it for the community, right? Yeah. Which community did he invite? He invited like one little kid, and then Kanye West was there. Don't act like Antonio Brown is the biggest tool I've ever seen in my life. Just for that. Don't act like you're doing shit for the community because you invited one kid.
No, but it wasn't to have them in the booth, Terry. It was so that people could give him their shoes and he could sign them until security said, no, you can't do that. In which case, then they're against the community.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that. See, another thing, tool. So this guy's a fucking loser, man.
But those two guys, Kanye and Antonio Brown, anyone sitting around them got privy to the most confusing conversation because they're the two guys who when they start talking, by the time they're done, they've completely forgotten the thing that they were talking about.
Yeah, but at least Antonio Brown has an excuse with a concussion. What's Kanye's excuse?
There's a documentary. There's a documentary on Kanye right now on Netflix, and I want to watch it because I'm like, it's the documentary is how he started, and I was a huge Kanye fan when he first started. Like Through the Wire, Graduation to this day is my favorite album. Like favorite, 100% favorite. There's no it's Kanye. It's Graduation, Alexis on Fire, Crisis. Like those are my two favorite albums of all time. I'll never say anything different. And I want to watch this documentary, but he gives me such anxiety that I'm not going to watch it. You know what I mean?
If you think Kanye gives you anxiety, Terry, think about what Pete Davidson does to Kanye himself, all the anxiety.
Oh, that's even better, yeah.
I rode with Kanye all the way to Life of Pablo. I was like one of the few people who actually liked that album. But the thing is like, he's a good example of like with R. Kelly, I can't separate the art from the artist. I will never listen to an R. Kelly song again. I'm good. It's fine. I don't need to listen to R. Kelly. But like with Kanye, it's like, I'm better off knowing less about him and just enjoying the music that I like, and I'll be happy with that. I'll watch the 30 for 30 when he's done, and be sad about it at that time, I guess that's what's gonna have to be right now, because I don't know if I can put myself through like a docu-series of Kanye West that he produced. Like, I don't know if I can do that.
I don't know if I'll be able to. Like, even Antonio Brown standing in front of the Netflix logo, like Antonio Brown, he's gonna have a documentary about him. Like, I'm not watching that. I'm not watching that because it's not going to be true. It's not going to be honest. It's not going to be transparent.
We talked about that with even the Michael Jordan thing. Like, it's cool to get access. Access is important, but the problem is that when they have final say, you're only going to get their version of the story, right? Like, exactly. And that's important to get too, but it's also nice to have sort of the outside perspective. Like exactly. we've talked about this ad nauseum, of course. We'll get into instead the last bit of remnants from the trade deadline. Terry, you haven't seen this video yet. We talked about it in the pre-show. James Harden was about to be selected for the All-Star game. So let's take a look on how that shook out.
Yeah. I'm gonna need some size for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some size and some defense and interior.
Yeah.
Especially with Giannis and LeBron James
Without
playing
question.
such great basketball this year. I need somebody to offset that, so I'm gonna go with Rudy Gobert.
I agree.
That worked out nicely for you.
Worked out nicely. I mean, you can't let people run through the lane and dunk all the time. Have somebody defend them back there.
Hey, let's chestnut checkers. Hey, when somebody wants out, you let them
Chestnut
go. Don't let them
checkers.
come back. I'm with you, KD.
That's why I cut my hair off. I was like, I'm gone.
So James Harden goes to LeBron James as the final selection of the All-Star draft.
Why is he even in the All-Star game? Why is the NBA All-Star game the worst selected event in the history of sports? Why?
Because the only thing that matters about the NBA All-Star game is selling shoes. So
It's crazy, huh?
that's what it
Doesn't make
is. And
sense.
the best part of the All-Star game is the selection show, right? Like,
Yeah, I guess if you think
it's
about
fun,
it that way,
right?
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
and so, because the game itself is awful. The game is unwatchable. The
Yeah.
slam dunk contest is a bunch of guys you never heard of. The 3-point contest is actually the best event there is now. But other than that, it's not a great weekend. Other than new shoes get released and I get excited. But the other thing is, I kind of like this because Kevin Durant doesn't really get a reputation of being likable in any way. But that sort of, he was like Jason Bateman, like the complete straight man, you know, like, there's chaos, everyone's laughing, and he's pretending like this is super serious. You know, like, no, I need size. I'm going to go Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert also should never be a defensive player of the year ever. Should never be on an All-Star game because they literally have to take him out in close game situations because he can't guard anything outside on the perimeter. So they literally have to take him out because he's liability.
I bet if they actually do like a proper selection of the Pro Bowl with criteria and the NBA All-Star game with criteria and all that stuff, that like 80% of those guys aren't on the team.
Well, but like you say that, but Mac Jones just played in an All-Star game, and he was
But he was like the third replacement because he had to replace. Yeah.
It's the same thing, though, right? Like, so, like, okay, and James Harden.
No, it's not. These guys got selected.
Yeah.
Mac Jones wasn't selected. He was filled in. He filled in. These guys got selected. James Harden got selected. The guy's played what this year? He hasn't done anything.
He's been okay. When he's played, he's been okay.
But he hasn't had.
When he was out. Like,
He doesn't have all-star. He doesn't have all-star stats. Like that's what we're talking about here.
So wait, have we really gotten to a point where the NHL All-Star Game is the best of the three between the NBA, the Pro Bowl, and
No, baseball's the best. Baseball's the best.
Well, baseball is the best now that they no longer decides where the World Series is being played. Correct.
Well, yeah, I mean that was a stupid part of it. That was a stupid part of it for sure.
But the game's good.
Because but I didn't mind it too much because the idea of baseball is that it's two leagues, right? So it's not necessarily one league. It's just there's a world championship. So I understand that portion. It's like the league is playing against the other league. Like these are our best from this league versus this league. So we want something in return. So I can understand it, but it was just dumb.
There's so much interplay between the leagues. Like
they're
basically conferences at this point, especially now that there's no more DH.
For sure,
So,
but the idea behind it, and the way it was built,
hitting.
was that.
Yeah, no, for sure. The one thing, James Harden, by the way, sneakily scoring 22.5 points a game, though. I will say it's better than how he's playing.
No. I mean, if I would have guessed, I would have said 23 points a game for real. Because
I thought he was lower because he had such a bad start to the season.
He did, but he also had a few like really good games. So like I knew the numbers are going to balance out for him because he's that good of a scorer. But at the end of the day, that's not all-star numbers, man. All-star numbers is 25 and up, 26 and up for a guy like for his style of play, right?
Also, we talked more about the trade from the Ben Simmons side last week because I felt as though that's where a lot of the confusion was. Like, why was there that much going for Ben Simmons? But like now we see Harden not going to the All-Star game. He has sort of a hamstring issue, but I think a lot of it is trying to get up to speed with like the Philadelphia's system. On the pick and rolls, for example, he's a guy who drops where Embiid is a switch guy. So like that's a huge difference in the NBA. There's also the fact that both those guys like to play with the ball in their hand. So I'm curious to see how that's going to pan out.
Yeah.
I think it's better, obviously, than they would have had with nobody else there. But James Harden goes to a system I think that doesn't exactly fit. But this apparently, Terry, was where he wanted to go before he was traded to Brooklyn.
Where's he from?
That I'm not sure. You can look that up. But he sort of envisioned himself being a good fit with Embiid. So we'll see how that pans out. And at the end, apparently, the team went to Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant okayed the trade, and that's the only way it would happen. And that's where we're at now in the NBA. LeBron built himself a terrible team and is trapped for 2 years. And
Did you see what happened to AD? Oh man, poor guy.
yeah, it was rough.
He's a heavy dude, man. To fall on his foot like that. Oh,
Yeah. If you ever have the chance to see like pro basketball players and what their feet look like at the end of their career, it's gross.
I mean, there's the
Pounding.
there's the famous image of like Kobe and Shaq after a game, and they're sitting next to each other in the locker room, and they have ice on their elbows, their shoulders, their knees, and their ankles.
Yeah, it's such a bad sport for your joints. It's
crazy. That's why if you look at what's his name, he's on TNT, Kenny Smith.
Yeah,
his knees are completely buckled now, and he can't walk. Like obviously but his knees are like, I can't describe like how it is. His foot is like 2 inches outside his leg, and then it comes into his knee, and then it goes up his body. It's really weird.
His ankles like literally can't support his body weight.
Yeah, so
he's not that heavy a dude.
Yeah, it creates stress on his knees. It happens with tall guys, right? So if they don't fix that as they're getting older, maybe like put on a couple toe spreaders like I did.
There we go.
You know. But yeah, so these guys, man, that's why they all can't walk when they're older, because they're just too big, and the impact on the knees and the joints is too much to handle.
So I'm a fan of player empowerment in the first place, especially when it comes to free agency. The one thing I will say is I don't think this is the end spot for it. I think right now players are doing they want to play with their friends, which is fine. It's not necessarily the best way to build a team. So I think the next step is really finding ways that all the people involved work together to build a team. Because like either way, like you're not going to add a player that LeBron doesn't want to play with, right? Or you're not going to add a player that KD doesn't want to play with. But I also think that there should be like checks and balances to make sure you're not signing Russell Westbrook to a team for which he's a terrible fit.
That's the thing is like people, it's like you want to bring in all these people because, you know, they have like they're good and individually, and they're your friends and you get along with them off the court and, you know, all this stuff, but it never translates well. The two people that hated each other the most had the most success in LA, and it was Shaq and Kobe. You know what I mean? Like that
blew up eventually, right? Like, yes, I understand the shelf life with that too. And you want people to be in good situations. But I just think we're not there yet on like truly figuring out what the best phase of player empowerment is. I think it's important for them to have a say, but I just think that playing basketball and building a team, there's more to just playing the game and to understanding how to best build a team. You know what I mean?
I'm not a believer in if you played the game, you understand it better than most. I really don't believe in that. I think that, I mean, the example I'll use all the time is that Gretzky was the worst coach and arguably one of the best players in the history.
Magic Johnson was an atrocious general manager.
There you go. Yeah. So it's not for everybody. I mean, some guys, like we'll talk about it later, but Martin St. Louis being hired as the Habs, the reason why it's a good signing is because he's a different name, and nobody really spoke about him, and he's a good signing because he's outside the box. But we don't know if he's going to be a good coach or not, right?
Yeah.
We don't know that yet. So the time will tell, as always, but it doesn't really usually, like, name me the best player and best coach in the history of sports. Like if they were like a top level coach and a top level player.
Phil Jackson.
Yeah, but Phil Jackson, was he a Hall of Fame player?
Borderline. Borderline. He was
saying,
good.
Give me a Hall of Fame. Like it happens more often in baseball.
He was on the Knicks' last championship team, right? So
baseball,
but baseball only hires Hall of Fame coaches, especially minorities.
Yes.
Like that's a whole other thing.
They don't go to ZipRecruiter. They're going straight to the Hall of Fame, and they're like, who's available? Let me take that guy.
Coaches barely do anything now in baseball. It's all the general managers make the lineups.
But you say that though, but every team that was in the playoffs last year had like a very old school manager. Like they're still that.
They're literally.
That's a good point.
The only thing they were doing was doing the double switch in the National League, and now there's a DH in the National League, so they're literally going to do that. There's nothing to do. You just show up and hang out with your boys.
And there's like pitch counts right on pitchers now, so it's like.
Oh, and that's it. It's all the side of our analytics before the game starts. So you know what?
The game's over before it started.
Exactly. Let's get to our interview. We're going to talk to Chris Ackie. You guys spoke to him once on Weekly Sauce. He's joining us for the first time on Not Sauce Work. I'm really excited. He's a really interesting dude. We'll talk to him about football, clothes, and the works. And we're back. Joining us is Chris Ackie of the Montreal Alouettes. Chris, how's it going, bud?
Doing well. How you guys doing?
Good.
We're good. Happy to have you on, man. You came on Weekly Sauce. I don't even remember when it was. I think it was like around October, November. Came on Weekly Sauce. That was a good time. Actually, no, it was way before that.
I think it was probably like a year ago, almost a year.
Yeah, I was at my other place. Yeah, so it was over a year ago. Yeah, and we had a good time. Some questionable choices on Poutine spots, but whatever.
No, I still listen. I still stand by the same spots. The Bankies. Where else did I say? Harvey's is solid poutine.
But Harvey's for a fast food joint, it is a solid poutine. Like I agree. Yeah.
I also
people out here getting poutine at McDonald's, so Harvey's is definitely winning on that one.
I also think you can't go wrong with Belle Provence. I know it's just like the greasy spoon, like trash ass poutine, but you know what? When you're drunk as shit, 2:00 in the morning, it hits a spot.
Yeah, I guess I would. This is so many chains. I like La Belle de Bouffe actually has a decent poutine as well.
Yeah.
I bet that is good. I mean, I did that like the heart attack burger that they have there, where if you eat it, you take a picture and whatever. Chris, I finished that fucking burger, man. I finished the fucking thing, and the girl told me I didn't. There was like a piece of mushroom left off the burger. I'm like, I finished it. She's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, give me the T-shirt and the Pepto-Bismol. I want my picture on the wall. Like they gave me the little Pepto-Bismol. I didn't even take it, but yeah, they screwed me out of a T-shirt.
It's actually, I think, my third picture on my Instagram account, Terry, is you getting that burger.
There you go, proof.
So it's proof that you got it.
So what happened then? So what happened?
I just complained and then whatever.
Is there a time limit?
No, there's no time limit. It's just because it's just a burger, but it's huge. It's like this big, and it has like a dough, like pancake dough. I think it is. It's in there. It's really weird. It's a bunch of stuff. It's delicious. But me and the toilet bowl became very good friends for the couple days after that. That's for sure.
I figured.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
So what have you been up to? Training, working hard.
Yeah. I'm just back in Toronto, just training. I still have my youth football camp, so I was planning that out, get the next session out. Just networking, was jumping on calls with a bunch of people, like all over the place, just kind of for stuff like life after football type of stuff. It's always like I always spend the off season just networking. I actually bought a property in Montreal.
Nice.
So that's downtown Montreal. Be ready pre-construction, so it'll be ready in a couple of years.
You bought a condo?
Yeah, I bought a condo downtown.
I mean,
awesome.
There's so many.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know. I like the Montreal market because in Ontario here is going crazy already. I already have a property out here and it's been going crazy. Vancouver, another spot that's like wild in pricing. So I figure like Montreal is probably next to go up. So might as well get into the market.
Oh, it's already up there
now. Yeah, it's already getting up there. Yeah, so maybe in a few years it'll eventually be like say Toronto and Vancouver pricing.
Yeah, it's shocking to hear, but I mean, in a sense, it is an island. The island itself isn't getting bigger, so the values at some point will rise, of course. Chris, I'd be remiss having a professional football player on here without asking some pressing questions I've had on my mind since the Super Bowl. We've seen a lot of coverage about the last play where Samaje Perine doesn't quote-unquote make an effort for a ball. I see a guy running the opposite direction and a ball dying on him. I don't think it's physically possible for him to make a play on that, but you know the game better than I do. You're actually out in the field. So what did you see when you saw that final play?
See, I didn't know they're giving him heat for that one. Because all I saw was a bunch of Eli Apple hate the entire game. Yeah, they've been getting – honestly, I've been saying for a while, Eli Apple, like, he can't cover. So he really got exposed after he's talking a lot of shit too. So honestly, it was kind of funny to see. But no, honestly, with that pass, like that was tough to get to. Like I don't think he would have got it regardless. So I don't think he should take the heat. If anything, that guard who tried to block Aaron Donald should take some heat because he was non-existent. He just kind of opened up the gate there.
That's the thing too. It's like there's so many moving parts on that Rams defense that was like On the Rams, the whole team, there were so many moving parts that were just having success the entire game. The fact that the Bengals stayed in so close, and then to have it on that kind of like last play of the game style, it was tough, man. But Eli Apple, so you're on the side that he's not as good as he advertises. He is?
I've been an Eli Apple critic since 2016 when he got drafted. And when he was with the Giants, I saw him. He can't play, and then he went to the Saints after, still can't play. So it's crazy that he's just bouncing around. That's when you were former first round pick. You would bounce around for a while, but I think he was still gonna get another contract. Like, obviously, he's decent. He's decent, but he's not.
Well, he's in the league, right? He has to be.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know. There's some people in the league that probably aren't that good.
I have a question about that actually, and relates to your tryout in the NFL. But before I get there, with regards to Eli Apple. One of the coolest experiences starting Hot on Sports, Chris, is I actually get to work with my dad, who now writes for us. He's like in his 70s, and he's a huge Giants fan. He hated the Eli Apple pick, and he peacocks like the rest of us when he's like, no, that guy can't play, and he sees him getting roasted in school. He was celebrating. We had Junior Luke, who's also in the CFL, also a high draft pick like yourself. He had a workout as well with the New York Giants as you did. And he said that I was a little surprised to hear this because I know Junior, he's a pretty modest guy, but he was saying, look, the line between me and some of these guys is not what you would think it is. They just have a different pedigree coming from, D1 schools, and that wasn't his case. And so it's easier for them to move on from him. And what he seemed to think was a marginal difference. Was that your experience as well with the New York Giants?
Yeah, honestly, I can agree with Junior on that one. Just because it's just learning a whole new game because in Canada, our rules are different and our coaching different. I'll give it to the guys in the States. Their coaching is a lot better than what we get in Canada, especially at a young age. So we don't really learn the same skills that they learn. Their knowledge is ahead of us. But if you go athlete to athlete, I know I didn't feel out of place at all. I felt like I was one of the better athletes when I was there still. But yeah, I think it's easier to move on from a Canadian because you didn't play in the States. It's an entire different game. If I really compare NFL and CFL, I think the superstars in the NFL are better than the superstars in the CFL. But I think after that, the middle pack guys, the rest of the guys, it's kind of it could honestly be interchangeable because how the CFL is. We get a bunch of guys who've been in the NFL for years. They come here. And they either fit right in or they get cut.
I had a friend go, Chris.
And then we have guys in the CFL, we'll have guys every year that have moved to the NFL because they're just talented. Guys that should be in that league. So I feel the superstars in the NFL, the Aaron Donald, Tom Brady, the high tier 1 guys, Jalen Ramsey, those guys, they're better than CFL guys, superstars. But the middle of the pack, everyone else, I feel that could be interchangeable.
Especially on the O-line side, there's some big guys that move pretty fast in the CFL. In the CFL, they have to have a certain amount of non-in points, and it's usually at the O-line position, at the linebacker position. That position is where you have a lot of people. So a quarterback is, how many Canadian quarterbacks have seen success in the CFL? You know what I mean? It's usually an American guy. But I think that it's just visibility with anything, right? There's a bunch of soccer players in South America that if they went into Europe, they would probably dominate, but there's just visibility. You know what I mean? It's just, that's what it's all about. And I had a friend who got drafted by the Buccaneers, and I remember he told me, I forgot the name of the DB, but he was a first-round pick, and it was me, him, my friend Mo, and my friend Marco Briette, who's a friend of the show, and we were talking, and he said, Marco, he's like, you're 10 times better than that guy is. And Marco had just played DB in pro, and he was a quarterback his entire life. And he's like, you're better than that guy was, and he was a first round pick. So just to say, it's all it is visibility. And if you get an opportunity, you take it. And that's what Eli Apple did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what Eli Apple did. I'll tell you, it's because it's crazy. Even when you look at the CFL draft, the guys who played in NCAA, they're automatically in the top 20 ranking. But it doesn't mean they're better than guys in Canada. They just hey, maybe they peaked earlier, had the right opportunity, went to junior college, got noticed, and went to a D1 school, and they come to CFL. So you think, hey, that person just played D1. They're going to come in here and be one of the top Canadians. You draft them first round, first overall, or wherever you draft them, but they really don't pan out that well because they really don't get the experience. Because if you look at it, when they're down in the States, one, they probably didn't play that much. But just for them being there alone, they automatically get just like jump. Hey, you're going to be better than someone that played in Canada. You play new sports. It's really not like that. Like look at guys like one of my good friends, Kwaku Boateng. He dominates in the CFL. Great ratio breaker at DN, and he was drafted in I think the 4th or 5th round. So I played with him at Laurier, and I knew like he was a dog since day one when he stepped foot on that campus. But it's one of those things just because he played in Canada, his measurables might not be the same. Where you're going to rank guys that played in the States over him, and it's really not like that. You see the guys that really don't pan out. So I feel like just being in the States alone, you kind of just they just kind of overlook that. They overlook Canadians that way.
So the Owls are going to look a little different than they did last year. And I'm 2 years ago, you guys had that, or 3 years ago, you guys had that crazy run. And last year wasn't a season didn't pan out. VA had a rough season, but overall, I think it was just a few bounces didn't go your guys' way. What's going on for next year? Like, what's the morale like in the group chat? Like, what are we dealing with here? I mean, are we going to have a successful Alouette season?
I hope so. With those things, we didn't make the big splash in free agency like other teams did. So we actually I know listen, I don't ask too many questions what they do upstairs because that's above my pay grade. So I let them make decisions like that. But I know they trust. From when I spoke with anyone upstairs, I know they trust what we have on the roster already. Some of the young guys that we have to come in and fill the voids of some of the guys that we lost. So. Like I said, hey, it's going to be business as usual. We got our guys on offense. We got our young guys on defense, and we'll just be able to kind of fly around and make plays. Like we definitely underperformed in 2021, just because if you look on paper, the talent we have, and even look at the rankings, like we had one of the top ranked scoring offenses, one of the top ranked defense. We led the league in sacks and interceptions, so we definitely underperformed. So one of the things that we're kind of excited just to get back and make a Grey Cup run.
Chris, you're a guy with a reputation for dressing well. Terry is the opposite. So what recommendations can you give to Terry to stop dressing like a 14-year-old child?
Yeah, so Terry dressed like a little bit like a bum. So really listen, it does where you want to shop and what kind of image you want to put out there. I know for me, I was where we see my Instagram, I was wearing suits and whatnot. So I was dressing up a little bit, especially when we have flights. I was dressing up for flights. But yeah, Terry, honestly, come hang out with me.
No, why? So I can wear a long ass gold chain outside of my suit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it. I'll do it.
What are you wearing now?
I mean, it's just this t-shirt. I gotta show the tattoos a bit. There's a nice it's a sweaty ball cap here. What are you gonna do?
On for 3 days straight? Come on.
No, it's just because I wore it once and it just stained and it never went away. I even washed it. I washed it twice.
No lie, you did not watch that.
I swear, I've washed this hat twice. It was a very bad purchase. I even bought 3 of them. I bought two red ones and one gray one. And the gray one is I sweat in it one day in the sun, and then it just dyed it, and now it just stays there like that. And I have 100 hats.
It shows character, yeah. Keep it.
I will back Chris on this because I used to work in the airline industry, and I will say, if you have any hope of upgrading to first class, you better be in a blazer and a shirt. That's the only way you'll ever get upgraded. If you book an economy flight, you want to get upgraded to first class, they ain't gonna do it if you're wearing joggers.
Well, I'm gonna have to talk to Chris because I just got my real estate license, so I'm gonna have to start dressing a little spack. A little.
There we go.
A little the button downs, all that stuff.
I always like asking this question when we talk fashion. How many pairs of shoes do you have?
How many pairs of shoes? In general, we're talking about casual wear, running shoes, dress shoes. Let me think. Altogether, I probably have more dress shoes than casual shoes.
That's a good start. Okay.
Yeah. If I had to guess everything. I'm kind of looking at my stuff over there. They're 15.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
15. That's
we ask because Peace literally has an Excel document that dictates what every shoe you should have and the different variations of them.
So I brought up my spreadsheet while we were talking. I have 68 pairs of shoes in rotation at the moment.
68.
Yeah, I have a problem. I have a problem.
But Chris, that's not the problem. The problem is that he has an Excel sheet that tells him which ones to wear.
Yeah, you have like a schedule, like on Monday.
Well, because I'm colorblind, so I need to know what it goes with and what the color of the shoe actually is, so that I don't make mistakes and look like I'm all mismatched and stuff. So I know
that's pretty logical. I actually respect that. That's logical.
There you go.
Practical.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
I absolutely do not respect that, Chris.
I'm tweeting out my shoe spreadsheet. I have the confidence to do it now. I got the confidence to do it now. So there we go. Definitely. All thanks to Al's linebacker, Chris Ackie. Chris, thank you for joining us this week on Not Sauce for Work. Really appreciate it. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at ChrisAckie21, Twitter, Chris_Ackie. What's on Facebook, wherever they want to find me. Hit me up, ask me some questions. Definitely always love to talk football, talk life, nutrition, all that stuff.
That's awesome, man.
Well, actually, I wanted to ask you. I mean, I'll send you a picture, but I started spreading my toes. Like, I went to see a physio, and he tells me that like my hamstrings are tight because my toes aren't spread. So, like, I'm gonna send you a picture. And I want you to tell me if there's a dress shoe that can support the size of the width of my toes right now, because they're
width of your toes.
Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, yeah, I have the same issue. I wear toe spacers just because to spread out my toes.
So it's a thing. Okay, so I'm not stupid. I'm not in the gimmick.
Yeah, they're not frauding you. So I do the same. Unless they're frauding both of us. I do the same.
When have two people been frauding?
Both your girlfriends are finding reasons to not do foot shit with you. That's the problem.
That's a good one. Thanks for coming on, Chris. That was fantastic, man. Appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, no problem.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Have good luck this season.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate you guys.
Later, man.
And we're back.
Still you as the set it up Eagle because it's rapid fire.
Yes. So we're going to go through 5 rapid fires for today. I just figured, I don't know, maybe you wanted to do like a shout out to Chris for the interview, like tell me the good guy and that his poutine choices are bad and compliment his fashion and feet. No, we're just going to go right into rapid fire.
Well, he's not from Montreal, right? So he automatically
gets a pass.
Your poutine choice. Like,
and when he mentioned the Harvey's poutine to me on Weekly Sauce last year, he mentioned it as like because he only had a certain amount of per diem from the school, so he wasted it all on Harvey's poutine because it was right around the corner. So he gets a pass. But Harvey's poutine is actually a very good one.
Yeah, for fast food poutine is pretty good. For fast food poutine is pretty good. I gotta give him that.
All right, we're gonna go through 5 rapid fires for today. We're gonna start with one which is near and dear to my heart. How to lose a quarterback in 10 days. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers and actress Shailene Woodley are ending their engagement after breaking up. They've haven't really made an official statement, but we've heard stuff about how it's amicable, etc. The rumors are the breakups are related to issues regarding jealousy, in that she was spending time with platonic male friends and Rodgers was not down for that. And the fact that they had discussed him retiring from the NFL to spend more time together, and there's probably a likelihood of that's not going to happen next season and maybe a little bit after that. So
I thought he would be the person that would be like, he wouldn't care if she hangs out. Like, I feel like he's more of like the Lucy, like, do your whatever. You got to do what you got to do thing.
Really, the guy who literally told his GM, here are the players I want you to sign, is the guy who doesn't have a control issue? Really?
Yeah, no.
But I think those two things are very isolated. I mean,
I disagree. Go ahead, Terry. Sorry.
He's a player that wants, because he hasn't had a supporting cast, so he wants a supporting cast. On his relationship side, where he's kind of like the guy who just goes with the flow, I feel like he would be that way with his significant other as well.
There's 2 things. One is that I'm a guy who got married older, right?
Yeah.
Older than the average, let's say. So I will say you don't get to be unmarried for that long without having some serious issues you got to work on. I learned it myself. The other thing is I learned a lot about him during the whole vaccine thing. While everyone was talking about whether or not he should be vaccinated, that was not the interesting part to me. The interesting part to me was, Aaron Rodgers, you really care what other people think, because that's why you lied about it. Because if you were confident in it, if you truly didn't care, then you would have said, "To hell with you. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to do what's best for me." You didn't do that. You carefully worded everything. That's the type of personality. And so, as soon as I heard insecurities, I can see it. This is a guy who gets hammered in the press for not winning enough. He's a guy who got hammered in the press for making demands of his team. And I don't know. To me, he seems to be that type for these reasons.
He's yeah. I was surprised when I saw this as well. Next.
On to a more serious topic, Devils in the outfield. After earning immunity, pitcher Matt Harvey testified in the trial of Eric Kay and talked about how he received illicit oxycodone from the Angels' then public relations assistant, and also spoke about sharing illicit drugs with other players during his tenure.
This is because of Matt Skaggs' death. He died because the oxycodone that he got under the table was laced with fentanyl. Fentanyl and alcohol is an incredibly deadly combination. It's the thing that killed Tom Petty when he was taking under the table painkillers to stay on tour. It's hard to know what's in prescription drugs, right? Like you hear stories about people who take hard drugs and they have machines that can tell you if there's fentanyl in it. Yeah. But you can't do that with prescription drugs, unfortunately, and it cost Matt Skaggs his life. Matt Harvey, basically, he was given immunity so that the truth can come out, and it's just awful. The Major League Baseball has an issue on their hands with opioids, and part of the issue is that every game you miss is counted against you when you go to arbitration. And for some players, they never get to their big contract. So those arbitration years are really important. And so they push themselves to get out of the field. So on one hand, you're telling them they can't do these drugs. And then on the other hand, you're forcing them to play. Otherwise, it's costing them a fortune.
You're forcing them to play hurt. So they're forced to take deadly drugs like fentanyl and oxycodone just to avoid the pain. I have a family member who he never really got addicted to the oxys, but like he told me like they could be very addictive. He had to have his wife control the amount he takes. It's a dangerous drug. Like I would never let anybody in my family close to me ever take them. Ever. Yeah. Ever.
It's rough. It's rough.
All right. CD's demands. After unfollowing his team on social media, Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray has apparently made further demands from his team. At this point, looking for having a trade go on, where he wants to bring in CeeDee Lamb into the team, essentially, has been reported by Nathan McKinnon.
Listen, I knew when I watched CeeDee Lamb walk off the field in the playoffs, I knew that if it wasn't his last year, then next year's his last year with the Cowboys. I knew it. He doesn't seem like a guy who he wants results today. He's like that type of guy. Like he was upset about that whole game. Could they have won that game for sure and lived on? Does the team good enough to make it? Yeah. So I understand why CeeDee's upset. But yeah, I don't think CeeDee's going to last in the Cowboys uniform. I think he will leave sooner or later. It pains me to say that because I'm a big CeeDee Lamb guy. Big CeeDee Lamb guy.
I was shocked that when he fell to the Cowboys in the draft. We were doing a live stream and I was shocked that you guys were able to get him, Terry. At the same time, all this is Kyler wants an extension early, right? Of course. There's nothing about like. Okay, I can understand that after Hopkins went down last year and Christian Kirk kind of emerged as number one guy, but he didn't truly have a number one. I think that's more what he's trying to say. I'm curious about who do you think leaked this, Eagle? Do you think this is the team saying, look how unreasonable he's being? Or do you think it's him saying, go out, get me talent, get me paid?
It's weird because it's going with a narrative of he's not a team player. So this one seems to be leaking from the Arizona camp to try and lower his contract value. That's my hunch in terms of the current negativity behind it. Because if it was stories about him, missing a number one and saying we could have won with it, etc., and being a more positive spin, I would say yes. But because it seems to have a negative slight at his character, I think it's more coming from the Arizona camp.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm not the type of guy to I don't like saying, supposedly, or if it's something bad. Chris Mortensen came out and said that Kyler Murray supposedly is like a spoiled brat and like along those lines.
Yeah, but who's he getting that information from?
Exactly,
right? It can only come from Kyler Murray or the Cardinals, and Kyler Murray's not going to say of himself, I'm a spoiled brat. You know what I mean?
Or it could be just people that have dealt with him. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it doesn't look good. And I was a big Kyler Murray guy, but I don't know. If you're starting your career already like rubbing people the wrong way, I don't think it's going to last long. But also, Cliff Kingsbury, I don't think he's the guy.
I was surprised when he got hired in the first place. He definitely does seem to be a guy who manages X's and O's but not necessarily game situations, not necessarily the locker room. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. I'm actually surprised he made it through the offseason. I thought he might get fired just because, look, you chose a quarterback first overall. You went away from the guy who chosen early the previous year in Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
So you did all that, and you're not seeing the results. I'm surprised the leash hasn't been shorter on Cliff Kingsbury as well.
I agree.
All right, next, the good word. Arizona priest Andres Arango performed countless baptisms that apparently don't count because he used the phrase, "we baptize you," instead of the words, "I baptize you."
Oh, my God. So all these people, what do they do? Are they going to hell? Like, how's it work?
Yeah, they're
If
not true
in
Christians,
between
right?
there, if they died in between there, don't they go to hell? Like, what's the rules? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they're not really Christian. Hey, you know what? Good on him for stepping down because he stands for something. You know what I mean?
So here's the thing.
He's stupid, but good on him.
If I'm that priest, I have a huge issue because how dare you say the Holy Trinity is three people, but now all of a sudden I have to baptize by myself? Why can't I also be Jesus? Why can't I be the Holy Spirit? Why do I have to baptize alone? Why is it not a team sport?
Yeah.
So you know what? You said Kyler Murray. is a selfish guy. I say the Catholic Church is the selfish guy.
Selfish guy. Yeah.
And for our last topic, we've invited a special guest who flaked on us last week, but we're giving him a second chance here.
Live from his kitchen.
Live from his kitchen, we have Alex the intern in the flesh for our last topic here, and we're going to be talking about the Montreal Canadiens. Toffoli, he knew. The Montreal Canadiens have acquired Tyler Pitlick, Emil Heineman, and a first and fifth round pick from the Calgary Flames in exchange for Tyler Toffoli. Alex, what are your thoughts on the trade?
Big energy by Ken Hughes.
Good trade.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Ken Hughes has the energy of a massive schlong.
I have the opposite opinion. I'm done with this. I'm tired of rebuilds. It's always more prospects. Nobody established ever comes here and gets better. The last time we've seen that was Andrei Markov, basically.
Andrei Markov was drafted.
That's what I mean. So that's the last time we've seen anything truly develop.
But we also changed our head of scouts. We
always do. But we're always firing a coach.
No, we never. Trevor Timmons has been there forever. It's new.
He's been there for over 20 years.
Fine.
Also, anytime we had a high-level prospect, we traded them, right? So.
Yeah.
I mean, because they didn't pan out, but whose fault is that?
No, not that they didn't pan out. We made bad trades. Sergachev panned
well, that's
out,
what I'm saying, yeah.
Right? McDonough panned out.
So, Alex, tell us about Heineman.
Well, Heineman, from what I've seen, I don't know him. Honestly, before the trade, I didn't know him. But after that, I did some research. And he has great speed from the clips I've seen from him. His shot is pretty good. He has a pretty good shot. And who knows what he's going to become. Some people are saying second line. Other people are saying fourth line. Other people are saying third line. Who knows? But he seems to be like a decent prospect that we acquired.
All right.
I like it. I mean, I like the trade. It's a good trade.
And that's going to be our last rapid fire for the day. So thank you, Alex, for your little tiny thing. I'm going to kick you now. Bye.
Bye, Alex. Thanks for joining. Thank you, everyone who has subscribed, who has liked, who has reviewed. Please continue to do so. It's how we keep the show on the air. It's how we keep the lights on. Thank you, Eagle, for all the work you've done today. Thanks for finally tracking down Alex the intern after a week of partying in LA. Terry, thank you for everything you've done today. And thank you all for letting me be myself.